Hi everyone and welcome to the weekly update with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Handtech Markets. Each week I take you through the key events I believe will be driving your markets in the coming days. Now, lots of volatility. At the back end of last week we had the UK election, we had the ECB meeting, we had James Comey's testimony, and this week no real let up in the volatility. We've got a draft of central bank meetings, we've got inflation for the UK, the US, retail sales for both as well. Lots going on. So into this week we've still got the fallout from the UK election last Thursday. A hung parliament doesn't do anything for the Tories in terms of their authority over the country, and certainly Theresa May is battered and bruised on the back of that. Sterling took a big hit on Friday morning on the back of the result, and I think it's going to remain under pressure now. The sort of expectation is that the uncertainty is going to be ongoing. Are we going to get a second election in 2017? How long will Theresa May last as leader? What will the impact be on Brexit? There's a lot of variables going on with regard to this election result and how it's going to pan out. But ultimately, markets don't like uncertainty, so sterling is getting hit on the back of that. On the flip side of that, you've got a bit of a negative correlation trade back in play with the FTSE 100. So subsequently, the FTSE 100 is actually outperforming at the moment. So it's really interesting that. Add in the fact that you've got also the French election over the weekend with a really strong result seemingly for Emmanuel Macron, and the euro has benefited on the back of that. But this week markets will be looking at the Federal Reserve, which is the key factor on Wednesday. Now, the Fed is highly likely to hike interest rates by another 25 basis points. But the big thing that the market will be looking out for will be forward guidance in terms of what will the Fed be thinking about going forward. Economic projections, inflation projections. Inflation has been a bit of an issue for the Fed going forward. Inflation has been subdued. The bond treasury yields have been, or the yield curve has been flattening, as you can see here in the 2-10 spread that I've got in the chart. And that is an issue for the Fed, I think, going forward. How it treats further tightening. Does it really want to tighten significantly into an environment where the inflation is not really picking up and it's really struggling? Questions for the Fed there. Now, also you've got a lot of inflation, as I said, this week. Other central bank meetings for the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, and also the SNB. So much volatility possibly. Now let's look at the FX markets. Now the euro has come under a bit of pressure since that ECB meeting on Thursday last week, and also the Comey testimony, but I think it's still going to be a bit of a near-term move. I think the euro still has legs to run in the upside, and that could well see that you see another higher low above that 111 breakout, which is now a pivot on the euro-dollar support. In terms of cable, really under pressure on sterling, broken below the 127.75 level. I think that's a watermark there for sterling now. It's finding that as a basis of resistance now, that 127.75 level. Breakdown on the technicals suggests the top pattern, which could pull us back to 125 figure. I think that's fairly well in line with pretty much where you'd expect, I think, sterling to be in the coming weeks. In terms of your dollar yen, we've still got lower highs and lower lows. You've still got pressure on. Downtrend is in formation in the last few weeks. Rally last week on the sort of mild move higher on the dollar, but it seems to have hit the buffers a little bit. 110.80, I think, and it retested the 109.35, which is a 50% fib level, is likely to be seen in due course. Now, in terms of your equity markets, equities have struggled in the last week or so, and it's not really able to gain traction on Monday morning either, and I think that there's sort of a little bit of mixed sentiment going on at the moment. Yes, there is a sort of a mild bullish bias on the medium-term outlook for these markets, but they are still struggling to really break out decisively. Having said that, the S&P 500 is still sort of holding up above that 2400 support, which looks strong. 2380 to 2400, decent buy zone on that. chart there. The DAX, again, a mild bullish bias within a medium-term range, but again, it's really is again struggling on Monday morning. FTSE 100 negative correlation, which mean with sterling, which means sterling weakness pulls the FTSE 100 higher, or certainly leads to outperformance anyway, and that's what we're seeing Friday and also Monday, and I think that's likely to continue. Now, in terms of your commodities, well, we've had that sort of dollar rebound, which pulled the gold price lower on the back end of last week. I think it's a near-term move. I think that it's now back to test the support of the pivot around 1261. That is a key level on a closing basis to watch out for, I think, throughout this week. In terms of your oil price, oil has been under pressure since that OPEC meeting, really. You've seen the market a little bit underwhelmed by what OPEC did. We had a really much higher than expected inventories from the EIA last week, and that really put pressure on the oil to the downside. A little bit of a bounce this morning, but I don't expect it to last too long. You've got resistance around 47 to 48 on WTI. You've got resistance around 50 to 51 on Brent crude. I think those are going to remain intact, and any rallies are a chance to sell. So throughout this week, as I said, lots going on for the economic calendar. You've got UK inflation, you've then got UK wages. That is always going to be an issue for sterling. You've then got US inflation, Fed on Wednesday, and I think you then sort of look at the other central banks such as the SNB, the Bank of England. Still Bank of England likely, well, will remain no change, but is there going to be a dissenting voice voting for a hike? Possibly so, and then the Bank of Japan on Friday. So lots going on across the board this week to create volatility. So I wish you good luck in your trading, and I'll speak to you again next time. Thank you.